Round 4 of the 2020 ESET iSERIES comes back to the crime scene. After the Croatian event at Grobnik, the championship travels back north to the Slovakia Ring. Last time the circuit just outside Bratislava was substituting for Austrian Red Bull Ring. This time it's filling its regular slot on the calendar as the penultimate round of 2020. With 4 races to go, the season is closing on to its finale. There is still all to play for, but the outcome of the second Slovakian event will be hugely important for the title aspirations. At the beginning of this weekend, everything is still fully open, and yet it could go as far as turning into the title decider. So, are we already going to see the celebrations, or is it going to go down to the wire in Brno? And so hello and welcome back to our studio, and also welcome back in Slovakia, the place where we raced for the round 2 of the championship, and now we are going to see the round 4 of the 2020 ESET iSERIES. Last time we raced in Slovakia, everything was wild and crazy, and we saw lots of crashes, lots of aggressive maneuvers, and lots of high-speed overtaking, and quite frankly, as the championship goes to its end, we are not expecting anything less than that. It is still very much open because Josef Záruba, our championship leader, has got 100 points, but with 4 races to go, we still have 100 points up for grabs. So mathematically, it is still anybody's championship. In fact, I can still join in. I can win the championship if I win all the remaining races. How about that? But that's probably not going to happen. Let's be more realistic. Also, on the other hand, it could already happen that if Josef Záruba races really well this weekend, he can bag the title already here in Slovakia. Let's see who he will be up against in the starting grid. We've got Pavel Gelner, who won one of the races in the past. We've also got Tomáš Pekař, who has been very fast, but hasn't scored that many points so far. We've got Petr Fulin, who dominated the opening round in Hungary, but was not very successful after that, so he definitely needs to score high again. We've got Jachim Galáš and David Němček, who won one of the races at home in Slovakia, and then Antonio Citera, who scored a shocking victory last time out in Croatia after scoring no points up to that point in the season. Gabriela Jilková, she stood up on the podium for the first time ever in the season, last time in Croatia. We've got an exciting addition to the starting grid in the person of the young Frenchman Theo Calvet, who will be racing for Bagira Zero Mileage Racing. We also welcome back Michal Makeš to the Michanek Motorsport team alongside his teammate and also our championship leader Josef Záruba. Then we see Stefan Rosina, Tom Begoise, and also Bartek Mirecký. He's been very fast. He's won 2 out of 3 qualifyings, but is still yet to score his first victory. So we are definitely expecting Bartek Mirecký to be really very fast again. Sadly, because his race results have not been that good, he has slipped back in the championship standings, and it will be very difficult for him if he really wants to win that title in this season. So let's actually see what the championship situation looks like after 3 out of 5 rounds. We have Josef Záruba leading, as we said, with 100 points. Josef Záruba has not finished outside the top 4 the whole season, so he has been really consistent and scored his first victory in Croatia. We also have Petr Fulin in second, but as you can see, he's already trailing Josef Záruba by 19 points, and if Josef Záruba manages to extend his lead beyond 50 points here in Slovakia, it's a lot of work, but can be done. He will be crowned the champion. We hope that it's going to go down to the wire in Brno. We've got also Pavel Gelner, very successful in this season, only 6 points adrift behind Petr Fulin, and then, as we said, Bartek Mirecký at 66 points, but no victory so far. David Němček will be racing again at home in 5th. We've got Gabča Jilková after her podium, and Antonio Citera. Take a look at that, because he scored no points in the first 5 races of the season and then took a shocking victory in Croatia, which shot him up into 7th. Let's see how the teams are after 3 out of 5 rounds. It's Michanek Motorsport being absolutely dominant in this season, 129 points, the only team in the triple figures already. Vekra Racing Team very close to that border as well with 99 points, and Fulin Race Academy at 81. We've got ARC Bratislava, who is going to contest its second home event this season, but they are only 4th with 74 points. They will definitely be looking for more here at Slovakia Ring. And so we are joining the on-track action for the remaining minutes of the free practice. So in a short while we'll see who's the fastest when it comes to practicing, and then we'll switch to qualifying as we are used to for the traditional format of the race weekend. So let's not forget about that. 10-minute qualifying session will decide the order for the starting grid of the race number 1, and then the race results of race number 1 will also decide the starting grid for race number 2. No reversing of any order in our ESET iSERIES, and it is Pavel Gelner who is leading the way with 2 minutes, 2 seconds and 17 thousandths. It is a long, fast circuit here in Slovakia, so as you can see, the gaps are really incredibly small. And as mentioned already in the studio, it is still everything open. All of it is still open in the championship. And we've got 4 fastest drivers within 0.2 of a second. That is virtually nothing. So it's definitely going to be very, very closely fought here in Slovakia. Last time out we saw Bartek Merecky take pole position here at Slovakia Ring, but he didn't do so well in the races. There were crashes, there were mistakes, and we had Pavel Gelner victorious in race number 1 a month ago, and then it was the local boy David Němček who won race number 2. David Němček currently in 7th to 03101, and he is very close behind 6th Antonio Citera. Antonio Citera, he won a race 2 weeks ago in Croatia. It was a very, very big surprise for us because up to that he had not scored a single point all season. So the first half of the season, first 5 races with absolute 0, and then he had a mega race because he started 12th, so outside the points positions, but then managed a mega opening lap and then capitalized on errors and crashes of the leaders, took the front spot, and never really handed it over back to anybody else. Josef Záruba, our championship leader, he was very close to winning both races in Croatia, but fell just short in race number 2, which means that out of the first 6 races we've seen 5 different winners. So maybe after the opening round in Hungary it looked like it could be fairly dominant because Petr Fulin won both races in Hungary and looked set to be the fastest, but then it all got mixed up, and 5 different winners out of 6 races. That means that the season has been turning out to be really dramatic, and we've already seen 3 different drivers leading the championship, so it's definitely still very exciting. We've got Pavel Gelner fastest after the free practice. This is not the qualifying, so this is not the order that we'll see on the starting grid, or may not be, let's put it that way. Petr Fulin finishing his last flying lap to 02.085, so really close to Pavel Gelner. Him being his, let's say, stablemate, driving the same type of car. Theo Calvet, our newcomer, currently 15th. Michal Makeš, he sat out of the last round in Croatia, but is back in Slovakia, and he definitely hasn't lost any speed. So he's up there with the big guys. And just look at that, Bartek Merecky, unsurprisingly jumping ahead to 01.67. So he's the only guy currently who is under 2 minutes and 2 seconds. And he's definitely telling us that he will be aiming for 3rd pole position in a row in this season. Still, he is yet to win a race, and he is currently 4th in the standings. His best 2 finishes came here in Slovakia and also in Croatia. with second. Bartek Merecky therefore fastest after free practice. We still have Michal Makeš on the track, and he does manage to improve. He also dips under 2 minutes 2 seconds.
There are things we love, but don't exactly share with everyone. What is your guilty pleasure? Junk food? Well, posting about running? Splatterfests? Or tearjerkers? Liking your own selfies? Shoes? Way too many shoes? Cosplay? In a bus? Commenting on other people's guilty pleasures? Whatever it is, ESET protects your online privacy.
Let's go.
Welcome back in Slovakia for qualifying session for the round number 4 out of 5 in the 2020 ESET iSERIES, and we are joining Antonio Citera, the last winner of 2020 so far. He managed an incredible race 2 weeks ago in Croatia, started 12th, was very good on the opening lap, and then capitalized on problems of his opponents that brought him into first position, and he managed to keep it until the checkered flag. So first victory for Antonio Citera 2 weeks ago, and in the free practice, which we had our first chance to see this season, he was also among the fastest within the top 10. So that means that Antonio Citera, when he tasted victory and success, he decided that that he likes it very much, and he would definitely like to continue on that note. So it was actually an interesting chance for us to see the pecking order even before the start of the qualifying session, and it definitely sets to be a really dramatic event here in Slovakia, because we had Michal Makeš running into trouble already in the first corner. He collected some traffic there. Luckily there was no collision, but that Ferrari definitely slowed him right down, so this is not going to be a fast lap from Michal Makeš. And as you can see, he's already lifting to save his tires. Josef Záruba, he's our championship leader, as already mentioned, with nice and around 100 points. But he was not the outright fastest in the free practice. We had Bartek Merecky, who's been our qualifying master so far in the season. 2 out of 3 pole positions belonged to him. But Bartek Merecky currently only 4th in the championship. Then we had the duo of Michal Makeš and Michal Makeš jumped into second. Then we had the duo of Pavel Gelner and Petr Fulín, and only after them there was Josef Záruba. So if we start the race in this order, it should promise us a really great battle, because that would be sort of exactly the other way around than it is in the championship. Bartek Merecki currently 6th, but we are only seeing and following the first proper flying laps. Quite a lot of traffic here in Slovakia, needs to be said, although the track is pretty long, 5.9 kilometer, some 3.6 miles. So there should be plenty of space for drivers to find their spot and find some free air in front of them. So let's see. Michal Makeš 2:02.4. David Němček slots into second. Antonio Citera third. From Bartek Merecki, Pavel Gelner, Gabča Jilková in 6th. Petr Kačírek is now being dropped down the order. Petr Fulín jumping up to 6th. Local driver Filip Sládečka in 7th. He was on the podium here, and there he is, Filip Sládečka in his bright white Lamborghini, one of the cars that could be Tom Beghäuser already in the gravel. On the exit of turn number 1, Filip Sládečka was on the podium a month ago in one of the races. It was the second race of the weekend where he finished 3rd, but it was only his second and so far also last point result in the season. So currently Filip Sládečka sits 10th in the standings with 17 points. Exactly the same count as Miha Primožič. David Němček, he's way higher up the order. He's 5th in the championship and he's losing only 2 points to Bartek Merecki. David Němček failed to score points in the second race in Croatia, and that was his only race where he finished outside the points positions. Otherwise he scored every single time and was victorious once with one further podium. He was 3rd in the race number 1 here in Slovakia, so the home soil definitely did well to David Němček. It seems that the home support is very helpful for the ARC Bratislava man. Bartek Merecki, proving that he is the man to beat in qualifyings this season, and he was first, but only just, and not for a very long time. It is already Petr Fulín who has dipped under 2-minute 2-second barrier. So he's currently leading the way in the qualifying. Bartek Merecki off the track there in the gravel trap, so he's got to try again. But he still has some time. He's got to clean his tires, prepare them to the optimum temperature range. So Petr Fulín leading the way from Bartek Merecki and Pavel Gelner. Sadly, in the end, this is not a qualifying session as such. We've been experiencing technical issues pretty much all day today. And that also caused the delay of the broadcast, so we apologize for that. However, there is a certain trouble with the server, with the racing server, which means that the practice session was basically restarted, and the laps that we are following right now will very probably not be counted towards the starting grid of the race number 1. But it only elevates the tension, elevates the pressure on all the drivers. They all see how fast they are, and they are extremely closely matched. Petr Fulín, Pavel Gelner. Look at that difference, 25 thousandths of a second. Actually, I don't even know how fast can a human blink, but I guess it's longer than 25 thousandths of a second. So it's absolutely nothing between them two. And if you imagine and if you realize that the Slovakian track is nearly 6 kilometers long, it's absolutely crazy. Pavel Gelner has lost it at the end of the first sector, and he's in the gravel, so he's not going to improve any further. Antonio Citera currently 6th. We'll see where we go from this. So we could take this as a sort of a pre-qualifying, with Petr Fulín proving to be the fastest, and I believe that would be his first pole position of the season. He was on the front row already in Hungary, and he shared it with Pavel Gelner. Actually, let me take a quick look in the history statistics, because it was, yes, it was Pavel Gelner who won the opening qualifying of the season in Hungary, but then it was Petr Fulín winning both races at Slovakia Ring. So this would be the first pole position of the year for Petr Fulín. But as already mentioned, it might not be in the end. Gabča Jilková showing her elbows. She stood on the podium for the first time this season 2 weeks ago in Croatia. Now she's been off the track, letting that Mercedes go. That could be Joachim Galáš. No, it's Teo Calvet. Teo Calvet driving for Bagira. Teo Calvet, he still needs to pick up his pace on this weekend. He's a serious newcomer in the real world motorsport. He is very well known from the truck racing championship, and that is a completely different beast from the GT3 machine that he drives in our virtual championship. So Petr Fulín fastest from Pavel Gelner and Bartek Merecky, and we'll see where we go from here in a short while. Welcome back in Slovakia at the Slovakia Ring, and finally for the qualifying session it is the 10 qualifying minutes. Drivers are already back on the track and we are watching Petr Fulín, who was fastest in our, let's say, pre-qualifying session. So he showed the pace. I believe it was not the fastest lap of the weekend so far. I think Bartek Merecký had been even faster in the practice prior to that. But Petr Fulín was fastest when we thought it mattered. It didn't in the end. Now it is the time when it matters, and we are watching some unnecessary crashes in the last corner. That's definitely not what Petr Fulín needs right now. He's jumping back into the pits and he will have to do the outlap yet again. That is bad luck for Petr Fulín, our pre-qualifying winner. Currently we've got Michal Makeš as the fastest, but these are not representative times. We are only in the first flying laps, So let's watch these closely, and let's just remind ourselves that it was Bartek Merecký who was on pole here 1 month ago for round number 2. He was also the fastest 2 weeks ago in Croatia, but no victory just yet in the championship for the Polish driver. He will definitely be looking to breaking his bad luck finally. Michal Makeš. He was also among the fastest the last time out here in Slovakia. He did not contest the Croatian round, but he is back behind the wheel of his Michanek Motorsport Lamborghini Huracan. And he is finishing his first flying lap of the quali. So let's see where he's going to end up. 2 minutes 2 seconds marker, that's broadly where we expect the fastest drivers to be, and Michal Makeš confirming it so far. 2 minutes 2 seconds, 0.019. That's a very good lap. Definitely for the first lap of quali, for the first flying lap. This is Filip Sládečka, the local driver, currently in 5th, behind Šimon Ladňák, who is fast, but he is losing quite a lot already to currently fastest Michal Makeš. Pavel Gelner slots into 2nd, less than 2/10 away from pole. David Němček confirming his pace as well. This is Matěj Kácovský. Matěj Kácovský driving an Audi R8 LMS Ultra, driving for Duck Racing Autoklub ACR. He has just been jumped by Tom Beckhuyser, and we also have Antonio Citera quite high up the order. Currently in 5th, and it is Bartek Merecký proving his speed. He broke the 2 minute 2 second barrier. He is currently first with 2:01.815. And we are expecting also the first flying lap from Petr Fulín. He's currently only in 21st after that collision on his outlap. So we'll definitely be watching Petr Fulín very closely. 4 minutes to go. So it's Merecký from Makeš, Gelner, Němček and Citera. That's our top 5 currently, but this is the man whom we are expecting to be really way further up the order. Petr Fulín currently in 22nd and last. That lap of 5 minutes 13 seconds is definitely not representative currently, and he's already hard at work behind the wheel of his Porsche to make up for that bad luck from the start of this qualifying. One of the ARC Bratislava cars in the gravel on the exit of turn number 1. That could be either David Němček, or could it actually be anybody else this weekend, because from ARC Bratislava we only have David Němček on the track this weekend. Petr Fulín rejoining the start-finish straight. Let's see what he's been up to. 2 minutes 1 second, 0.983. That is a very, very good lap. Sadly, he's now run into some traffic there in the first corner. There is still time for him to start another flying lap. And Josef Záruba has also managed to improve himself, and he jumped into second. So it's Mirecky from Záruba and Fulín, and also Michal Makeš. Pavel Gelner currently in fifth, and look at the gaps. So small, so small. Just 0.03 of a second separating Bartek Mirecky and Josef Záruba on the front row of the grid. Then we've got Petr Fulín. He's another 10th further behind. This is the man currently on his way to the third pole in a row. Unbelievable speed that the Polish driver has been showing in qualifyings. Sadly, the races have not been so successful, and he definitely needs to up his game and maybe even kind of fix his luck in the races. Antonio Citera, our last time winner, currently 7th. That's definitely not bad. He's trying to hold himself kind of up there, staying in the ballpark from where he could definitely attack, as he showed us 2 weeks ago at Grobnik. Joachim Galáš running into traffic. That could even be Theo Calvet. Joachim Galáš, this is not good for him. He has managed to improve his lap time, but his time definitely would have been faster had he not run into that trouble, and he is ending his qualifying already because he was not on course to make that first corner any better than on the previous lap, which means that he assumed he was not going to improve. One of the cars in trouble on the grass there, but this is Josef Záruba. That's more important stuff. Josef Záruba, our championship leader, still second, but only just 0.03 of a second behind Bartek Mirecky. This is Petr Fulín, still trailing the duo by 1/10 of a second. Michal Makeš with his time just over 2 minutes 2 seconds, and then Pavel Gelner 2 minutes 2 seconds, 0.2 of a second. David Němček, he will not improve any further, so he stays 6th, and that's the best starting position he will achieve in this qualifying. He might still be jumped by some of his opponents. We'll see that. Michal Makeš not improving any further. Petr Fulín. There he is, there he goes. Running into traffic, making a mistake, and that's it for this qualifying. So Petr Fulín stays on the second row of the grid. Pavel Gelner also already finished. Tom Beghäuser, he is on a timed lap. He is within the top 10, right in front of Gabča Jilková, but it looks like he's not going to improve anymore. Bartek Mirecky still on the track, but he will very probably not be jumped in the dying seconds of the quali. Tom Beghäuser does not improve as predicted, and that's it for the quali. So Bartek Mirecky from Josef Záruba, that's the first row of the grid. Petr Fulín, Michal Makeš on the second row, and then Pavel Gelner and the local guy David Němček in 6th. And then it's our Croatian winner from Austria, actually, Antonio Citera in 7th place. Completing the top 10 are Joachim Galáš, Tom Beghäuser and Gabriela Jilková.
There are things we love, but don't exactly share with everyone. What is your guilty pleasure? Junk food? Well, posting about running? Splatter fests? Or tearjerkers? Liking your own selfies? Shoes? Way too many shoes? Cosplay? In a bus? Commenting on other people's guilty pleasures? Whatever it is, ESET protects your online privacy.
And so Bartek Merecki has done it again for the third time in a row. He has won the qualifying session, so it is his third pole out of 4 qualifyings. He's definitely been very, very fast indeed when it comes to beating the time, the time service. However, in the racing, it is a completely different story, and that's somewhere he is yet to prove himself. So we'll see if Bartek Merecki will get some better luck this time out in Slovakia. He was already very fast a month ago, 2 weeks ago, but then he ran into trouble in racing. So it's still there, all to be done from the Polish driver's side. He will be joined on the front row of the grid by Josef Záruba. He was really very fast there. And we've got the fastest guys from the championship being also the fastest in this qualifying session. So everything is set up for a perfect and dramatic race number 1 here at Slovakia Ring. We've also got our last time winner Antonio Citera following them closely from 7th, and we already know what he's capable of doing from 12th on the grid. So let's see what he will be able to show us today. And we are currently awaiting the first racing action here in Slovakia with a bit of a delay, but we have made it. We have made it onto the starting grid, and we are excited to see the racing here in Slovakia for the third time in 2020. So let's see how that goes. We'll be watching the first race of the weekend. As usual, it will take us 25 minutes to complete the racing action. The second race of the weekend will also have 25 minutes, and the starting grid will be decided by the results of race number 1. So, Bartek Merecki with Josef Záruba on the front row of the grid for race number 1 here in Slovakia from Petr Fulín and Michal Makeš. So, both Michanek Motorsport cars in top 4. Pavel Gelner, he is 5th. He won a race here a month ago, but he'll have a hard job in front of him this time out. David Němček, he was the other race winner here in Slovakia, so both last time winners on the third row of the grid. Antonio Citera joined by Joachim Galáš on the row number 4, and then Tom Beghäuser and Gabča Jilková 9th and 10th. We have got further guys down the order. It's Jakub Knoll in 11th. And then another 2 locals, Filip Sládečka and Stefan Rosina, 12th and 13th. It will be a hard work for them as well. Filip Sládečka managed to finish on the podium here a month ago. This time he starts only 12th in front of Stefan Rosina. Stefan Rosina will be joined on row number 7 by Šimon Ladňák, then it's Keke Placer, Matěj Kácovský, Tomáš Lídl, Jiří Navrátil, Petr Kačírek Jr. and our championship newcomer Theo Calvet, who slots into 20th, driving for Bagira Racing Team. And the drivers are getting ready on the starting grid, so we will see them and join them in a short while. So let's remind ourselves about the situation in the championship and what needs to be done actually right now, because it's Josef Záruba as our championship leader with 100 points, and he's got 19 points, a 19-point gap to second placed Petr Fulín. 19 points, that is a lot if you think about it, because drivers score 25 points for a race victory and only 18 for the second place. So anything else than a race victory will not put Petr Fulín into the championship lead after this race. So if he wants to improve and jump Josef Záruba, he will either need more races or score the victory. And it will be a hard job for him, because he's got Josef Záruba right in front of him on the starting grid. So straight ahead That is where Petr Fulin will be looking, because that's where the poleman is sitting. That is the Lamborghini Huracan of Bartek Miritsky right in front of Petr Fulin. But there's another Lambo, and it's the more important Lambo currently in the championship on his right-hand side. But it is also closely followed by same liveried Lamborghini in the 4th place, driven by Michal Makeš, the teammate of Josef Záruba. And Michal Makeš will definitely be at hand there to maybe even protect his teammate from any further challenges. There's the Dayglow yellow Lamborghini on the 3rd row on the left-hand side of your screen. That is David Němček, and he's following and joining Pavel Gelner in the 2nd Porsche 911 in row number 3. We've got less than a minute until the start of race number 1 here in Slovakia, just outside Bratislava. Gabča Jilková, 6th in the standings for her Your Speed team, driving a pale blue Audi R8. You can see the car on the 5th row of the grid on your left-hand side. And directly in front of her, in 8th, that is Joachim Galaš. Joachim Galaš has already enjoyed some real-world racing and successes in the past weeks, and he's now returning to the virtual championship as well, and he'll be looking for good points here in Slovakia. So we have made it through all the trouble, and the red lights come off right now, and it is the start of the race number 1. One of the guys from the back row really couldn't wait and jumped the start. Bartek Miritsky leading the pack from pole into the 1st corner. And he should be first after the 1st corner as well. He's a little bit wide there, and it is Petr Fulin trying to snatch first from Bartek Miritsky already on the exit of turn number 1. Petr Fulin managed to get himself in front of Josef Záruba, so not a bad getaway from Josef Záruba, but not a very good 1st corner for him. Gabča Jilková off the track there in the 2nd corner, and Petr Fulin fighting for the 1st position with Bartek Miritsky. He's trying to take the 1st place back. But hang on a second, that is not Petr Fulin, that's Antonio Citera, having started 7th. I beg your pardon there, because Antonio Citera has done it again, and if this was not a jumped start, then it was a brilliant start from the Austrian man. He already showed us what he's capable of at the start 2 weeks ago, where he had a mega opening lap from 12th. This time he started 7th. And just take a look at that. He was there on the inside. Then he saw that the whole way was blocked on the inside. So he found a clear pass through around the outside. Pretty much nobody was there, and that is amazing stuff again from Antonio Citera, who is leading the race there in Slovakia. He was really clever in the 1st corner. This is Petr Fulin, whom I have mistaken for Antonio Citera, so my apologies for that. Oh, Bartek Miritsky, Petr Fulin sliding off the road. This is dramatic stuff in the last corner. There's a contact between Michal Makeš, I believe, and Bartek Miritsky. Bartek Miritsky and Petr Fulin too late on the brakes into the last corner, and both of them ran wide. And now it is Petr Fulin against his stablemate from Porsche. That should be Pavel Gelner. Or maybe even Jiří Navrátil, because it seems to me that Pavel Gelner dropped way further down the order. This is Bartek Miritsky, only 5th, and it is bad luck for him yet again. He was battling for the 1st position with Antonio Citera on the opening lap of the race. Antonio Citera managed to get the better of Bartek Miritsky, and then there was a crucial big mistake into the last corner. Too wide, ran too deep in his braking zone, overshot it there and ended up in the grass. Ended up on the grass for a little while, and that was enough to let a few drivers through, namely Josef Záruba and David Němček. This is a big mistake from Antonio Citera, so this time out he's not withstanding the pressure as 2 weeks ago in Croatia. Antonio Citera was under huge pressure in Grobnik, but he kept everybody at bay, not this time around. And I believe he was too fast on the throttle, and he power slided into the gravel. So he has dropped from first into third, and that means that it is Josef Záruba, our championship leader, currently in first. Petr Fulín following Michal Makeš into the last corner. He's got to be really careful not to repeat the same mistake twice. And we are finishing lap number 2 of the race. Josef Záruba leading the way from David Němček. David Němček has been doing brilliantly after not such successful qualifying. He was only on the 3rd row of the grid, but then was very patient and also aggressive enough on the opening 2 laps. And right now he is shadowing Josef Záruba. We've still got more than 20 minutes to go. This is Joachim Galáš. He has held on to 8th that he had at the starting grid. Gabča Jilková dropped all the way down to the 21st. She's only in front of Petr Kačírek Jr. currently. Ooh, another mistake. One of the Porsches out of the track, and it is Pavel Gelner. I believe it is Pavel Gelner. Yes, it is. And I think it's even the same place as a month ago. And I believe we also saw Pavel Gelner off the track there. Ooh, another mistake there. That was Bartek Mirecki this time out. Bartek Mirecki sliding his Lamborghini and falling further down the order. Bartek Mirecki. So another pole position that will most likely not be turned into the first victory. It is still escaping from the Polish driver. Extremely fast on 1 lap. Extremely fast in qualifyings, but not really managing to put everything together in races. He's too inconsistent. There was another car off the track there, overshooting that corner. That was one of the Audis there, which could have been Maciej Karcovski maybe. And this is Josef Záruba, our race leader. He showed nerves of steel 2 weeks ago when he was exactly in the same kind of position, and he managed to win race number 1 there. And then in race number 2, it was led by Petr Fulín actually. But then Petr made a mistake and kind of collected Josef Záruba in the process. We didn't see that, but the after-race replays revealed that there was a contact between the two. And that means that Josef Záruba kind of ran into bad luck there, which allowed Antonio Citera into first. And so it is proving yet again that one thing is being really fast on a single lap in a quali, but the other thing, completely different, is enjoying a trouble-free race. Lots of drivers making mistakes. It is hard, it needs to be said, in the virtual world, because the steering wheel and its force feedback is pretty much the only thing that is giving you some information about the car, about the track, about power sliding. So naturally the drivers who know the motorsport from the real world, they tend to have quite sensitive bottoms. That's their main receptor of information, and they can feel through their buttocks if the car is sliding and running away from them or not. So they are able to catch a slide in its very beginning, not so much in the virtual world, because the information through the steering wheel might actually come into the brain a little too late. So we saw lots of really fast drivers making quite basic errors, needs to be said. You wouldn't really see them do that often in the real world. But that's just coming from the completely different experience. It is as close as it can be with the simulators, with force feedback steering wheels, even with the professional simulators, but it will never ever be exactly the same as the real world. And all of the inputs that a driver can feel through the car itself. So Josef Záruba has extended his lead. Antonio Citera dropping down the order. Hang on a second, Antonio Citera, he was third not so long ago, and now he is defending 8th from Bartek Merecky. So something must have happened there. Another contact, and it has upset the Porsche greatly, but still Bartek Merecky has to keep looking at its rear wing. Josef Záruba leading the way from David Němček, Michal Makeš, Petr Fulín. Joachim Galáš has managed to jump into 5th. He capitalized on the trouble of his competitors and is currently running 5th in his Mercedes. Joachim Galáš, he is currently only 12th in the standings. That's a joint 12th. He's got the same amount of points as Keke Platzer. Both of them have scored 15 points in total so far. And Joachim Galáš, he was actually 3rd in Hungary in the opening race of the season. So his pace was promising right from the outset, but then he scored nothing in the race number 2, and it stayed there, so that was his only points finish so far. That's why Joachim Galáš is so way down the order. Pavel Gelner in further trouble. There was another car colliding with him. That was one of the Mercs. And I wonder who that could have been. Could have been Šimon Ladňák. Šimon Ladňák. That was the man colliding with Pavel Gelner, and Pavel Gelner's day has been going simply from bad to worse. He was kind of there or thereabouts at the start of the race, but then has been dropping ever since, and has not really been able to overturn this unwelcomed trend, which means that Pavel Gelner, once even a championship leader after the last round here in Slovakia, is now only 14th. This is Pavel Gelner following Matěj Kácovský. Pavel Gelner, he won a race here a month ago and left the Slovakian round as the championship leader, but there you have it. That's the cruelty of motorsport. 1 month later, a bit of bad luck, some errors of your own, and suddenly you are in a very, very different position. And what was once yours is long gone now. We've just passed the halfway mark of the race. And it is still Josef Záruba leading the way with not a very big, but a comfortable lead over David Němček. Some 2 seconds in front of the Slovakian driver. It is a trio of Lamborghinis leading the race, because we have Michal Makeš in third. Then it's Petr Fulín in fourth from Joachim Galáš, Jiří Navrátil, Štefan Rosina in seventh, Bartek Merecky in eighth, and then Antonio Citera and Jakub Knoll completing the top 10. Antonio Citera, that is a great deal of shame there, because he managed another impressive start, and he tried it down the inside into the first corner, but that was kind of overcrowded there. So he found a much larger gap around the outside. Nobody was there actually, and he was then able to go braking extremely late compared to his opponents, and that won him multiple places. That shot him up into third, into second, and then even into the lead of the race, but not for very long. Pavel Gelner retiring from the race after so much bad luck. One of the lapped cars was there in the gravel too. That was one of the Mercs. Pavel Gelner. He has decided that he has already suffered enough in this race. He will be starting towards the back anyway, so it seems that he has already given up. There is a chance opening for a team 1-2 for Mechanic Motorsport, because their second driver, Michal Makeš, is now troubling David Němček greatly. Michal Makeš has managed to close the gap right down, and he's following David Němček in the battle for second. We also have Jiří Navrátil in sixth, currently only 2 points finishes to his name from the 6 races that we've contested so far. Then it is Štefan Rosina. This could actually be a first proper race for the Slovakian guy. He couldn't compete last time out. Ooh, one of the cars being very dangerous to his opponents there. Touching the barriers and then being shot back onto the track. Very briskly. Luckily there was no contact with the passing cars. So Michal Makeš still trailing David Němček, and he needs to start looking into his rearview mirrors a bit too, because he's got Petr Fulín right behind him. There's a second gap, needs to be said. Still, Petr Fulín is not too far away. So any mistake that these two make now can be very quickly punished. Michal Makeš trying it down the inside. It did look like an opportunistic move there, and I didn't believe when it started that it would be successful. I was actually expecting a big crash, but David Němček saw the red and white car, red and white and blue car of Mechanic Motorsport in his rearview mirrors, and he decided that he prefers finishing the race rather than being boxed out of the way. Štefan Rosina visited the gravel trap, but is back in the race as well, and has not lost 7th. He's actually lost touch with Jiří Navrátil. Petr Fulín here in 4th, and now he has been shown a recipe that works with David Němček. So Michal Makeš, that was a extremely aggressive move that could have ended up really badly. Luckily enough, David Němček was watching his mirrors and left the door open. Ooh, Petr Fulín not giving up on the inside line, but David Němček was prepared this time. They are circulating around the last corner and returning onto the start and finish straight. Michal Makeš already disappearing into the distance, just like his teammate Josef Záruba, who has been leading the race for quite some time already. And there is another fight coming up for podium places. David Němček in third, leading Petr Fulín there. This is a really demanding corner. Well, all of the fast corners are really demanding. Ooh, Petr Fulín picking up some understeer behind David Němček and being a bit too wide. Luckily he did not go all the way to the outside into the gravel. That would really slow him right down. Antonio Citera in ninth, following Stefan Rosina. So Rosina did drop a place in the end, it seems to me. But there's also Bartek Mirecky somewhere. There is Bartek Mirecky, and he has just overtaken Jiří Navrátil. So Bartek Mirecky moving back up the order after losing first that he held on the opening lap, after fighting Antonio Citera on the opening lap of the race. Yet again, does Bartek Mirecky have to play catch-up? But this is the interesting battle for third between the local car, the ARC Bratislava machine, and it is glued to the inside line. Petr Fulín is trying a second look there, but David Němček is definitely not going to be fooled by this tactic. One of the cars entering the pit lane there. Michal Makeš has managed to escape from this duo. Again, David Němček protecting his inside line. So Petr Fulín has to try again, has to try a better exit out of the first corner, and he's left with the outside line. They're going side by side, door to door, wheel to wheel into second. Ooh, this is a really tricky corner for side by side racing, but they have managed it. Ooh, amazing stuff there. And Petr Fulín has jumped David Němček. He's a bit too wide for my liking there, but still holding on to third. So amazing overtake from Petr Fulín. That was nicely done. Hats off to Petr Fulín. But also great defense from David Němček. He didn't give a millimeter off the track for free, but in the end it was simply not enough for the offensive that Petr Fulín had up his sleeve. Brilliant stuff by these two drivers. Last time out in Slovakia we saw lots of overly aggressive driving, lots of crashes, and some of the drivers even voiced concerns about the level of professionalism in this championship and about behaving of some of the opponents. It needs to be said that since then it has improved massively, but having said that, we've got one of the cars going the wrong way there. That was, I believe, one of the Ferraris there even. Could have been Beckhäuser or Lubomír Jakubík maybe. Two minutes left on the clock, so we should be watching the last two laps of the race. Josef Záruba still leading by a comfortable margin. It seems to me that his teammate Michal Makeš has been closing on to him. There's one of the Your Speed cars really now going at a Your Speed. And Michal Makeš has not really been victorious this season. He's currently 8th in the standings because he missed the Croatian round, so has only scored 24 points so far. And right now there is even the possibility to win this race. Look at him. This is Filip Sládečka against Tomáš Liedl. Definitely not a bad fight. Sadly for them too, it's just outside the points. But let's take a look at what's going on between the Mechanic Motorsport guys. And this is going to be interesting because Michal Makeš, if he was going to be a team player there, he would protect his teammate from their opponents on the opening laps of the race. That's all done, and both Mechanic Motorsport cars are now circulating around the track in 1 and 2, so heading for the double victory there. And we are entering the last lap of the race right now. But Josef Záruba, he has to play this safe. He cannot afford to lose points, and he definitely needs to extend his lead. But he's got Michal Makeš hot on his heels, and Michal Makeš, look at that. This is really turning out to be very interesting between the two teammates, because all the other opponents are now at a comfortable distance. Petr Furin is not far behind, but he's not going to make it on his own pace. So only if there ends up to be a contact or a mistake from the front two, then can Petr Furin jump ahead. Not on his own pace anymore. He's too far behind for that. But with all the opponents being too far away, nobody's really telling Michal Makeš to stop and not trouble his teammate. And he can actually, let's say if he is daring enough to send it there down the inside into the last corner, as has already been done in this race, actually by himself on David Němček, then it might actually work. But I believe that right now he is too far away. Yeah, he definitely appeared to be much closer at the start of this lap. Now it seems that he's either simply lost out or has been playing it safe. And Mechanic Motorsport is finishing this race, and they are set for a comfortable 1-2. Josef Záruba will extend his championship lead, and it will be so. Josef Záruba victorious in the first race of the round number 2 at Slovakia Ring. It is the second victory of the season for Josef Záruba, and that will extend his points tally to 125. He will extend his championship lead from Petr Furin by further 10 points. So a great achievement for Josef Záruba in this race, and beautiful teamwork by the Mechanic Motorsport guys. Michal Makeš completing the 1-2, so it is 100% weekend, or race number 1, let's say, by Mechanic Motorsport, which also means that Mechanic Motorsport will extend their lead over their rivals from Vekra Racing Team and Full In Race Academy in the team standings. So this is a perfect end of the race, end result for Josef Záruba, Michal Makeš and Mechanic Motorsport. Petr Furin finishing 3rd. It's been a great and very interesting race. Yet again, bad luck for Bartek Mirecký, who was on pole for the 3rd time in the row, but yet again he did not manage to get that desired victory, so that is still slipping away from him. But we've had Josef Záruba finishing first for the second time of the season, so he has actually extended his lead in the championship and has managed to cement his position in the first place of the standings. Michal Makeš shadowing him onto the finish line, into the or under the checkered flag. So it is 1-2 for Mechanic Motorsport. Brilliant race number 1 for them. Petr Fulin did what he could, but only manages third in the end. So that is race number 1. We are expecting race number 2 in a short while. Again, it will be 25 minutes. Again, we'll see great battles, and it will be Mechanic Motorsport duo sharing the front row of the grid. But now, before we do that, let's see the best of from the first race here in Slovakia. So it was Bartek Merecký actually starting pretty well, getting a good getaway, and just look again at Antonio Citera. He was there on the right side, now left side on this from this view, and now he's on the right side, back on the outside of the track, and he managed great space for himself. He could go late on the brakes there, and even got himself into the lead of the race. Fantastic stuff again from the Austrian, and he made us remember his beautiful victory 2 weeks ago in Croatia, but then this mistake came. Antonio Citera fell into third behind Záruba and Němček. It was also already after Bartek Merecký fell further down the order behind Záruba and Němček, so it was Josef Záruba already leading the race there. Antonio Citera was still holding on to his chances to finish on the podium, and this was Pavel Gellner, and his race simply went from bad to worse all day long. Petr Fulin was as way down as 6th at one point, and this was Bartek Merecký and Antonio Citera battling it out for 8th after a couple more laps, so not a brilliant race for them too as well. Pavel Gellner dropped further down into 14th and ran into more trouble later on, so he then disappeared from the race when he entered the pits and stayed there for the remainder of the race. Michal Makeš was on the move. He pulled a beautiful, daring, opportunistic maneuver on David Němček. This was already after that battle, and this was a beautiful fight between David Němček and Petr Fulin. Petr Fulin managed to overtake David Němček around the outside of turn number 2, and then we were thinking, okay, was Michal Makeš going to attack his teammate Josef Záruba or not? In the end, no was the answer, so Josef Záruba managed to sail into the end of the race and take his second victory of the season. Michal Makeš completed the double victory for Mechanic Motorsport team in race number 1 here in Slovakia, with Petr Fulin completing the podium. Local driver David Němček ending up just below the podium in 4th, and we now have Pavel Gellner with us. So Pavel Gellner, it looked like a great race at the beginning, or it could have been one. You actually won a race here a month ago, but this time out luck was simply not on your side.
Yes, good evening to everybody. I just pushed a lot into the last corner, and I was just too long. I don't know if there was some contact from the rear, I don't think so. And yeah, it was just my mistake. And then I wanted to come back, but I pushed too hard and spinned again, and then I destroyed my car, and the race was over.
So actually, you went back into the pits because the car was hardly drivable, I assume.
Yeah, exactly. Then I just stayed in the pit lane till the end, and then now I'm just waiting for the next race, for the start. I would like to do my best, and maybe I can reach some points. So let's see.
It looks like you will need to replicate Antonio Citera from 2 weeks ago, where he won the race from 12th. You are now starting from the back, so at least you will have a race full of overtaking. And are you actually gonna enjoy overtaking and moving yourself, playing catch-up, moving further up the order?
Yeah, we'll see. I think I have to survive the first lap, and then I can move lap by lap, and maybe I can finish in the top 10. That's my goal, so let's see.
Yeah, as we've seen many times this season, all is not lost just yet, because anything, really anything can happen, and even the big guys make mistakes, so there is still everything to play for. So best of luck for you into the race number 2, and we hope that we see lots of interesting action on your side.
Okay, thank you very much. See you.
So that was Pavel Gelner. This was not really his race, definitely not following up on his victory from a month ago. Josef Záruba, Michal Makeš, as already seen and commented on multiple times, have won the race for their team, so it is a 1-2 finish for Michanek Motorsport. In their world, everything seems to be getting more and more perfect, and Josef Záruba is getting closer to that crown, and he is basically already putting one hand on that championship trophy, but it is still not quite there yet. We still have 3 more races to go, 3 more races to do, and as we've already seen, lots of things can happen in a very short space of time, so we'll see if that already guarantees you the championship or not. Petr Fulin will be close again in 3rd, but he will have to deal with Josef Záruba's teammate again, because he will have Michal Makeš on his right hand side. David Němček, another hungry man there, Slovakian driver, so he will want to replicate his victory from a month ago. So let's join the action on the start and finish straight, because we are only seconds away from the start of the race number 2. So it is Michanek Motorsport duo sharing the front row, behind them Petr Fulin and David Němček. 5th is Jiří Navrátil. No, actually he should be further down. It is Joachim Galáš in his Mercedes. Yes, it is Joachim Galáš in 5th, in front of Bartek Mirecky. He is 6th, and we'll see if that hunger and maybe frustration fuels the fury in Bartek Mirecky and will move him up the order. And it is lights out, and away we go in Slovakia. Josef Záruba starting from pole, not managing the best getaway. That was managed by Petr Fulin, who is now sandwiched between the 2 Lamborghinis into the first corner, but it is Michal Makeš. There's a contact between Petr Fulin and Josef Záruba into the first corner. That is a huge drama at the start of this race. That is incredible stuff, and both of the championship protagonists that are in 1st and 2nd place in the championship are now left on the back of the grid. That is amazing. Michal Makeš leading the pack through the 2nd corner from Jiří Navrátil and Bartek Mirecky. Antonio Citera showing us another great start, and it is Bartek Mirecky already into 2nd through Jiří Navrátil. That was incredible. Petr Fulin and Josef Záruba crashed into each other in the first corner, and that mixes everything up again. Look at that. That was a great getaway from Petr Fulin. He was trying to trouble both Michanek Motorsport cars. He had Michal Makeš on his right hand side, right in front of himself, and it seems to me that yeah, there was actually a bigger pile up in the first corner, multiple cars suffering from the incident there in the end. It seems to me like the Michanek Motorsport guys started sort of closing Petr Fulin between themselves into a sandwich, and there was simply nowhere to go for Petr Fulin in the end, and Josef Záruba paid the big price for it, but the same goes for Petr Fulin, so they are now both at the back of the grid in 15th and 16th currently, and moving up the order very quickly right now, so they are in the second 10, let's say. We'll see when the order gets back up and running. The time screen is correct again. This is Tom Beghäuser, and this is a correct position. Tom Beghäuser, ladies and gentlemen, is currently 5th. And Joachim Galáš has just overtaken Jiří Navrátil, so Joachim Galáš has moved himself up into 3rd. He's already stood on the podium in this season in the opening race in Hungary. Jiří Navrátil is trying for a fight back. There's a contact. Jiří Navrátil is spinning Joachim Galáš in the 2nd corner. Tom Beghäuser also ending up in the gravel, and Joachim Galáš facing the wrong way there. That is a rotten luck for Joachim Galáš, and he will be definitely massively frustrated by this, because that was a unnecessary contact, and Jiří Navrátil pushed him into the spin, and it was actually a long contact, but he didn't stop there, and he kept pushing, kept turning the other car around, and that was the result of that incident. So Jiří Navrátil being the naughty boy in this incident. But Michal Makeš has already opened up a 3-second lead from Bartek Merecky. However, Bartek Merecky is incredible fast yet again, and he is trying to get back in the mix. Jiří Navrátil making a big mistake there, running into the gravel. And that should allow Jakub Knoll into 3rd. Jakub Knoll, currently only 17th in the standings with 5 points to his name. His best place was 8th in the 2nd race in Croatia. This is Josef Záruba. On the move, Josef Záruba being crashed out of the 1st corner by Petr Fulín. Arguably, he kind of closed the door on Petr Fulín into the 1st corner, but we would really need more views on that. More camera angles, and also maybe even some comments from the drivers themselves. And this is the 3rd Michanek Motorsport car at hand. So let's take a look at this. Ooh, Jakub Knoll has binned it on the brakes and left too much space open, pretty much the whole track, and even more than that for Tom Beghäuser, and Tom Beghäuser didn't need a 2nd invitation. He just said, yes please, I'll take that 3rd place off you if I must. Jakub Knoll keeps going crazy on the grass. So I was just gonna say that it is brilliant for Michanek Motorsport team when one of their cars runs into trouble. There is still the 2nd and 3rd one to stand in, but then kind of Jakub Knoll destroyed my story with his mistakes, and he fell down the order. This is Michal Makeš. So far being absolutely perfect in this race. He managed to jump his teammate off the line and into the 1st corner. Then he managed to escape that 1st corner incident with Petr Fulín and Josef Záruba. This is Tomáš Liedl troubling Petr Kačírek Jr. for that last point for 10th. And there is Jakub Knoll right in front of them. Antonio Citera only 8th. I believe it was again a pretty good start from Antonio Citera, even in this race, but not much further improvement. But guess what? We've just had Pavel Gelner there for an interview. We wished him best of luck, and that's exactly what has been happening to him. from the start, since the start of this race, and as you can see, Pavel Gellner is already 4th, and he's not very far behind Tom Beghäuser, so podium is possible right now. So, as you can see, exactly as mentioned right before the race, anything, literally anything can happen. And what happened in this race? The two championship, the main championship contenders crashed into each other immediately. In the first corner, Petr Fulín and Josef Záruba, they are now having to play catch up. They are still both of them outside the points, and it is Pavel Gellner already knocking at the door of the podium. Pavel Gellner, he is following Tom Beghäuser. Josef Záruba overtaking Petr Kačírek, and he's not that far away from points. This can still end up well for Josef Záruba. The most important thing for him is that he's got his best opponent, Petr Fulín, behind him, so he should be entering the points positions sooner. And if everything goes as it is set out right now, then he should finish in front of Petr Fulín in this race. Petr Fulín is 3 places further down the order, behind Theo Calvet, who is now in 13th, and this is Pavel Gellner, so he can only capitalize. And you see, the situation is completely the other way around right now. Pavel Gellner is in the position to score big points in this race, and his biggest opponents, Josef Záruba and Petr Fulín, are way down the order so far with 0 on their account from this race. This is an interesting scrap, somewhere from 6th, 5th even. That's Jiří Navrátil. Ooh, that's one of the Ferraris facing the wrong way and being parked, and left stranded there on the grass. So Jirka Navrátil dropped to the 5th place already. He's been fighting in this group, and and that is one of the Mercs. That could be Šimon Ladňák. Šimon Ladňák. Yeah, it is the Polish driver ending up in the gravel and losing places. This is Jakub Knoll on the move. So, Pavel Gellner. Ooh, and there's another contact. And that was Pavel Gellner, wasn't it? Maybe no, that was Jiří Navrátil and Antonio Citera. Yeah. I was mistaken by the same liveried car but that Jiří Navrátil is driving. Jiří Navrátil is also a member of Vekra racing team, just like Pavel Gellner. So Pavel Gellner still holding on to 4th, and this is Josef Záruba. Josef Záruba should be right behind his teammate Jakub Knoll. Ooh, there's a contact! That's incredible! How can such thing happen? I do not know. And there's another contact after returning from the gravel. Oh my goodness. And now Josef Záruba has been overtaken by Petr Fulín. So they have it yet again. More trouble. Just as you think that Josef Záruba needs to play it, let's say, cool and simply overtake his teammate. Another crash occurred, and it was into his teammate Jakub Knoll, who, I don't know if he didn't see him there or simply closed the door on him there, but it is true that Josef Záruba was trying to send it there from quite a distance. However, he was definitely expecting his teammate to leave the door open, but that was not the case, and Jakub Knoll closed the door into his teammate. Petr Fulín in 12th, so no points for Petr Fulín so far in this race. Petr Fulín is now troubling Petr Kačírek Jr. and there is Josef Záruba having to play another catch-up. That's just incredible how quickly everything can go from hero to zero. Pavel Gelner still behind Tom Beghuyser, so he has not managed to overtake Beghuyser. Tom Beghuyser is in 3rd. So far, Tom Beghuyser has only scored 9 points. He has scored points on every weekend, that is true, but it was 4 points in Hungary, 4 points in Slovakia, 1 point in Croatia. That gives us the total of the grand total of 9 points, and 15th place in the standings. But now Tom Beghuyser is on his way to a podium finish. However, we have only just entered the second half of the race, so let's not judge it quickly. Or maybe too soon. This is Jakub Knoll. No, sorry, that's Josef Záruba. He has already overtaken Petr Kačírek, and Petr Fulín dropped down the order because he spun there. Petr Fulín spun again. It is a terrible, terrible race for the first and third man from race number 1, and they are facing a really, really hard time trying to get themselves into points. This is Pavel Gelner. It is his chance to salvage some points in this race, because his opponents are in kind of the similar situation he was in some 20-25 minutes ago. Pavel Gelner would definitely like to get himself onto the podium. It seems to me that the first two are too far away. Michal Makeš leading the race from Bartek Mirecki. This is really close for 3rd. Porsche versus Ferrari. Pavel Gelner versus Tom Beghuyser. Tom Beghuyser chose rather a wide line through the second corner, but that has not helped Pavel Gelner. Pavel Gelner keeps shadowing Tom Beghuyser. He's trying to find his weak spot. Now he dove down the inside, but with very little success. Tom Beghuyser is still unfazed by everything that Pavel Gelner was trying. Michal Makeš leading this race right from the outset, actually. So Michal Makeš, we were wondering if he was going to attack his teammate in race number 1, or if he was going to be a good teammate. In the end, he didn't unnerve Josef Záruba and did not continue in his offensive. So Josef Záruba was able to win the race number 1 quite comfortably. This time out, his teammate was eliminated in the first corner already, and ever since Michal Makeš has been leading, has not been troubled by anybody. Bartek Mirecky has actually been enjoying quite an uneventful race, and for once it is good for him. But still, he's some 4 seconds further down the road, further up the road, I should say. So it is shaping up for him to be his best race so far, or one of the best races, because he's already been second twice. Once in Slovakia here a month ago in race number 1, and then in the first race in Croatia. But that desired victory is still getting away from him, and we are about to finish the penultimate round of the season, so only 2 races will be left for us in Brno. It seems then that Slovakia Ring will not decide the championship. It is going to go down to the wire, or at least to the last event of the season in Brno. Petr Fulín. He has already overtaken Petr Kačírek, but then made a mistake, spun, and now he has to do it all over again. He has been trying, but yeah, the time is simply running out. 6 minutes left on the clock. Another look on the inside, but Petr Kačírek was not gonna open that door. The last corner is really interesting because it's incredibly long. It's like never ending, and there are basically multiple apexes. There's not one clear one, so you can choose different lines depending on whether you're defending, attacking, or let's say completing a qualifying lap. This time Petr Fulín has made it stick on the start and finish straight because he managed a better exit out of the last corner. So on the start finish straight he overtook Petr Kačírek, but again it was not for points, only for 12. There are 2 more cars he will need to overtake if he wants to get himself into the points, and they are driven by Mičánek Motorsport guys, Jakub Knoll and Josef Záruba. This is Tomáš Liedl in 9th, and in front of him is the Mercedes of Šimon Ladňák. Jiří Navrátil 7th, Antonio Citera 6th in this race. Keke Platzer shaping up for quite a good finish. He was 4th as best 2 weeks ago in Croatia in race number 2. Pavel Gelner. Ooh, I was gonna say that his long pressure was still not paying off, but we jumped into this action right in the correct moment. Exactly when Tom Beghuyse made his crucial mistake. He was too wide in the first corner. Ooh, but now Pavel Gelner makes one. Luckily for him, he was already too far ahead in front of Tom Beghuyse. So Tom was not there to pick that position back up. Pavel Gelner jumps into 3rd, so it could be podium for him after starting last. And that would be a great race for him in the end, because he's got his biggest opponents quite in the distance behind himself. Still overall, this weekend is going to play out really well for Josef Záruba, because even though he's only 9th currently, he's not going to lose as many points to Pavel Gellner as Pavel Gellner lost to him in the first race, and he is still better off than Petr Fulin, so he is going to extend his championship lead even further still. So not what he was expecting at the beginning of this race, but not the end of the world. If we take into account the championship position right before this race, and there's still some time left, 2 minutes, so Josef Záruba still has time to improve his position even further. Antonio Citera trying to enter the top 10, attacking Keke Platzer into the first corner, attacking around the outside of that quick first corner. Not a move that you'll see on a daily basis, but here we are. Nice move from Antonio Citera, who has jumped Keke Platzer. An Austrian fight for 5th, and Josef Záruba has been lucky now. He has already overtaken Šimon Ladňák, and he is 8th. And there is Jiří Navrátil further down the road, so 7th is definitely on the table there for Josef Záruba. His teammate Michal Makeš, I believe, will have enough time to start another lap, but he's already leading Bartek Merecky by more than 8 seconds currently. Yeah, the timing's going a bit haywire, let's say. Michal Makeš still has half a minute left on the clock when he's crossing the start and finish line, and therefore he is entering one more lap. It will be the last lap of the race. Tom Beghäuser trying not to let Pavel Gellner escape too much, but it will already be really hard for him to get himself back onto that podium. And this is the scrap for 7th, so 2 further points up for grabs for Josef Záruba. He will have one more lap to do it, so still no rush. There are no further positions at hand because Jiří Navrátil is losing over 12 seconds to Keke Platzer in 6th. Josef Záruba already going into the full attack mode on the start and finish straight, and look at that speed difference. So everything was basically done and dusted even before the braking zone into 1st. So Josef Záruba picking up 7th place. It is the matter of damage limitation for him in this race, and I think he has been doing rather well. Petr Fulin still outside the points. That's important for Josef Záruba. And we will now switch back to Michal Makeš because he is completing the last lap of the race. There he is, Michal Makeš. So it was a double victory in race number 1 for Michanik Motorsport. It's not going to be a double victory in race number 2, but it will be, let's say, a double victory from this weekend overall. First race here in Slovakia won by Josef Záruba. Second race won by Michal Makeš, who is scoring his first victory of the season. So it is 6 different winners out of 8 races, and the season is still very dramatic, very interesting. Bartek Merecky second for the 3rd time this season, so that victory still staying away from him. And Pavel Gellner, after that terrible race number 1, saving what he can in race number 2, and having started last, he is coming home in 3rd. Great race by Pavel Gellner. Tom Beghäuser finishing just under the podium, but still managing his best result of the season with 4th. Then we've got Antonio Citera finishing in the top 5 for the second time this season. Keke Platzer in 6th. Josef Záruba is going to come home in 7th, so damage limitation, job done on his side, and overall from this weekend he will improve his championship position and extend his lead over his nearest rivals, because Petr Fulín is now entering the start-finish straight, but only in 12th, so no points for the Hungaroring dominator Petr Fulín. Teo Calvet finishing his first weekend of the season, currently in 15th. That was a interesting duo of racing here in Slovakia, and I think we can be only looking forward to the season finale in Brno in the Czech Republic in the 2 weeks' time. So it is Michal Makeš victorious for the first time this season. Michal Makeš, he, let's say, was playing it safe behind the back of his teammate in race number 1. He was not trying to trouble his teammate because it was a very interesting and very important moment championship-wise for Josef Záruba in race number 1, but then bad luck eliminated Josef Záruba at the start of race number 2, so that left door open for Michal Makeš in race number 2, and he ran away with it. We should have one of the local guys on the line, and that will be Filip Sládečka. For him, this race was not actually that successful, and it turned out to be quite problematic. So, Filip, what happened in this race? What was going on?
Good evening, everybody. Let's start with the race 1. I was a bit unlucky. Also, I got a crash contact with some Mercedes, I think, and I lost completely front of my car. And I felt I have no downforce. So somewhere in the middle of the race, I start to feel no grip on the front. My front tires were gone, were overheated. So it was fight till the end. But I think I finished 12th. That was also my start position, so it wasn't really bad. And the race 2, I got a huge crash in the first corner, and the car was completely gone. So I decided to disconnect from the race because there was no point to continue with so much damage on the car.
Can you actually extend a little bit more on that first corner crash? Because we saw the problem between Josef Záruba and Petr Fulín crashing into each other. Was it actually the result of their collision and you running into them, or was there anything, something else going on?
I think I saw spun some Porsche, and it came right into my way. So that was the problem. But I don't know who was that really.
Yeah, I think it could have been Petr Fulín who crashed with Josef Záruba in the first corner from the first 2 places. Yeah. Anyway, we've seen that you have speed because you finished on the podium 4 weeks ago here in Slovakia. We are now entering the season finale in Brno. What are your expectations?
I mean, I have not really time for sim racing nowadays because I got some new projects in my work. So I'm not taking it really serious like I should. So I have no expectations. I have only have a fun and race only with my colleagues, my friends, and have fun. Yeah, that's the main point for me now.
Yeah, we've seen that anything can really happen, so even another podium could still be on the card. So best of luck for you into the season finale, and hope you enjoyed. Hope we also see you in great action.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you very much. So that was one of the local drivers, Filip Sládečka, and we shall now take a look at the best of the racing action in race number 2 within the round 4 here in Slovakia. So let's take another look at that troublesome start, because Josef Záruba lost his lead right off the line and he was in a fight with Petr Fulín. Let's take a look at that yet again, now that we know what happened, even with the rest of the field. Yeah, that is Petr Fulín spinning, and then more cars were collected. That was the white Lamborghini of Filip Sládečka, so we saw what happened to him. Sadly, not a repeat of the good result from 4 weeks ago. This was a contact between Jiří Navrátil and Joachim Galáš. Definitely Joachim Galáš will be very disappointed with this situation, because they were both gunning for the podium finish here. Sadly, this incident left all the job undone. Tom Beckhuyser then managed to get himself up into third when Jakub Knoll made his errors. Jakub Knoll seemed to be on the track for stepping in for Josef Záruba as the second Mechanic Motorsport on the podium, but then more errors came, like this one, for example, that made Jakub Knoll lose a lot of ground and a lot of positions and dropped him down the order. Interesting battles were happening up and down the field. This was a scrap between Tomáš Liedl and Petr Kačírek Jr. For the last point in 10th, they were both being pursued by Josef Záruba. Antonio Citera was again very fast in this race. This was a fight between Šimon Ladňák and Keke Platzer, and behind them there was Antonio Citera. More mistakes, more running wide. Keke Platzer managed to get himself up a few places, and this was a contact between Jiří Navrátil and another Porsche, I believe was Antonio Citera. This was another interesting crash, because it was again in the first corner between two teammates from Mechanic Motorsport. I think Josef Záruba was quite surprised by Jakub Knoll closing the door on him in the first corner, where he thought his teammate was going to simply let him by. That dropped Josef Záruba down the order again. This was another mistake from Petr Fulín that we actually didn't see, and Petr Fulín lost some more places and in the end did not manage to score any points in this race, which makes his championship aspirations even harder before Brno, because even in this race Josef Záruba finished in front of him, and even though it was not a best of results for Josef Záruba, it was actually his first time he finished outside the top 4. He was in 7th. Still, Josef Záruba managed to score some points, whereas Petr Fulín was left with 0. That was one of the other incidents there, and that means that Josef Záruba will be leaving Slovakia with a pretty comfortable position in the championship, and not a lot to do to take the crown in 2 weeks' time at home in Brno. But as we've seen in Slovakia, yet again, anything, literally anything can happen. And when we were talking to Pavel Gelner in front of race number 2, wishing him best of luck, that's basically what we managed to do for him, because Pavel Gelner from the bottom of the grid finished 3rd on the road, so stood up on the podium a month after winning here in Slovakia, and the more successful protagonists from race number 1, Josef Záruba and Petr Fulín, finishing way further down the order. Michal Makeš scoring his first victory of the season, making it 6 drivers out of 8 races. Bartek Merecky second for the 3rd time this season, but not getting that victory. If he gets one in Brno, we'll see in 2 weeks' time, and we'll see you there, hopefully with us. So let's look forward to that, and wish you best of luck, best of days for the next 2 weeks, and we'll see you in Brno.